Well, hello and welcome to the Tao Manifesting Tarot. Glad to have you here. Today's the day that we do something that we call the TAO Trifecta. Normally during the week, we do manifesting types of things, right? And the readings are different because of that, because with manifesting readings and tarot, I particularly focus on you, entirely you, all about you, because your life begins and ends with you. Yes, I know there are things going on around the world you have no control over. But your choices of attitude and action are all up to you. And so my goal is to help you with manifesting the best life you possibly can. So, what you see on the screen is just one picture through the whole reading. Runs anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes long. You see the one screen with the tarot layout for the day, and I'm doing that purposely. It gives you a chance to get up and get a coffee or tea or soup, salad, sandwich, whatever you want to do. Doesn't make any difference. Okay? It gives you a chance to walk away, but you're still listening. And it's that act of listening, not looking, listening, that opens up and strengthens the muscles in your imagination. And that's what the point is to help you manifest. And all that manifesting, as I said, starts within you. So that's what we're working on. And so today is the trifecta. We're looking at the manifesting energies that are going to be circulating around you this week. And if I had 1 million people, knock on Formica, if I had 1 million people watching this video, this reading would apply to all of them, but in different ways on different levels, because we're all very different. The singular idea is to see if we can't make that connection. Could be big, could be small, doesn't make any difference at all. It's all coming from you. So this applies to everybody. It's simply a question of how and maybe why. And here's the thing. As we're going through this reading, your intuition, your gut, will say yes to something. Again, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a very small thing. But in every case, it's very profound. So let's begin the TAO Trifecta for this week. The energies of health, wealth, and happiness. We start on the left side, top and bottom, go to the middle, top and bottom, and then on the right, top and bottom. So we begin on the left with health. The energies this week for health. Up front, we have a land of milk and honey. Now, in ancient times, milk and honey, very different than the garbage that they put on store shelves today. They were actual, real food. Milk and honey would denote opulence, abundance. Wow, I can have milk and honey. But they were also ways of sustaining life. They were powerful, powerful things. Unpasteurized, whole, organic milk. There was no other such thing. Honey, that we now know does not go bad because of the microbial action in honey. They found honey jars in ancient Egypt, and the honey is still edible 4,000 or 5,000 years later. No problems, no tummy aches, no nothing. So when we talk about milk and honey, we are talking about a place, an attitude, a way of sustaining yourself in a meaningful manner before the greed took over and they cheapened our food. That's in large part what's killing a lot of people these days. We're eating garbage, and they're doing it purposely, not just for profit, for much deeper motives, but I suspect you probably know that. So we're focusing in terms of health and welfare this week, in terms of milk and honey. How do you sustain your health? And yes, we're talking physically, but we're talking emotionally, spiritually as well. What is the milk and honey for you? And here's where it gets really fascinating. The card up top, which you really cannot see, is a vice versa card. And it's one of my favorites because it has to do with surviving on a very high level. It's the star card. Star card is hope, guidance, relief, inspiration, harmony. You are having a chance to heal, to tap into that healing energy, that essence of milk and honey that is not just a meal, but it is actually life-sustaining. Imagine eating honey that's raw, organic, perfectly in every way whatsoever, just as nature intended. And that thing can be edible, taste good for 5,000 years, 10,000 years. Imagine what that does to your body. Well, guess what? That's what you have to feed yourself this week. The star card says go for healing. And you know intuitively what is needed. Now, we don't pay a lot of attention to our gut because we're told not to pay attention to our gut, because if we start paying attention to our gut, boy, we get really hard to control. And that's what the whole deal is about, is control. They don't want you to think for yourself. They don't want you to feel for yourself. So this week, to help you heal mentally, spiritually, physically, what is the milk and honey in your life? Or what are? I guess there's two, right? Find the milk and honey that can help you heal on a quantum level. So that's health. We go to the middle card. It's wealth. And the card is between two worlds. But the number on the card is 3. That means it's flexible. It's changing. It's trying to find balance. And if you're stuck between two worlds in terms of wealth, for me, in terms of a reading like this, a manifesting reading like this means you're having a tough time determining, what do I give to Caesar and what's God's? Like it says in the Bible, give to Caesar the things that are Caesar and to God's the things that are God's. You're having a tough time. What does it take for me to sustain myself, to have this life of milk and honey, and yet at the same time deal with the world around me? Could mean maybe a change of jobs, change of careers. But I think more importantly, it's a change of values. And right now you're stuck in the middle. Yes, I know I should be doing this. It'd make the world a better place. Probably make me a happier person. But it doesn't fit into the world. It's dog eat dog out there. I can't do that. I would make myself vulnerable. See, there's the tough thing. Which way do I go? And the card behind it gives us some enlightenment for sure. It's the Ten of Wands. Ten of Wands means putting down the burden. It's enough. The wands should be enthusiasm, positivity, enjoyment in life. You're plugged in. But there are so many expectations dumped on this poor guy that he just can't handle it all. Can't handle it all. And a lot of it may not even be necessary. So like all of us, we're raised in a social prison for all intents and purposes. And by that I mean, from the time that you're born, you are taught and trained how to fit into society. And while that's necessary on some levels, more often than not, what it does is it keeps you from growing as an individual. It makes you more vulnerable. It makes you more controllable. It makes you weaker. But of course, you're following the rules. You're doing what you were taught to do and told to do, but you're right at a point right now in terms of your wealth. What's valuable? Why is it valuable? Why do I value it? Just because I was told so? It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't feed my health. I don't feel like I'm in a land of milk and honey. I'm struggling. Man, I'm struggling. Which way do I go? And so you're getting ready to put down some of the burdens and to decide to live for yourself. It doesn't mean narcissistically. It doesn't mean selfishly. It means consciously and intelligently. No, this is not a positive. No, it's not a positive. Doesn't serve me, doesn't serve the people around me. I'm going to change. I was watching a Joe Rogan program a little while ago, and they were talking about the need for specialized materials to make, let's say, smartphones, and how important important cobalt is to reduce and power up the batteries that run our phones. Well, they talked about the cobalt trade and who suffers from it. People who are paid starvation wages, less than starvation wages in Africa. Maybe they make 20 cents a day. It's dirty work, it's hard work, and it's all to power our smartphones and to make people billionaires off of that. And he said, I would pay double for a smartphone. If I had to triple for a smartphone just to create a fair deal for the people who have to mine the cobalt for the phones. And instead of maybe having 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 smartphones, maybe I have just one. That's all, just one. It's that kind of a thing that you're going through in your life. Really a question of values. Let's move on to the final card. All the way to the right, it's the Unfinished Symphony, and it has to do with happiness. It's that constant effort to try to find happiness, and it's kind of a moving target from time to time because you have different needs, different demands, people expecting different things from you, and it's kind of hard to keep up, as we just discovered with the Ten of Wands in the wealth department, right? So when it comes to happiness, it's just a constant effort. Maybe that's a good thing, because maybe that builds up character, that builds up integrity. Of course, it can have just the reverse effect as well. So the battle to find happiness continues. And it really boils down to the card behind the Unfinished Symphony card. It is the Five of Pentacles. And if you remember about the Five of Pentacles, it's people walking past what looks like a church. Lights are on in the church. The male is a cripple. They're out in the snow. They're cold. They're obviously hungry and just terribly uncomfortable. And yet they walk right past a church that's open. They could go in and at least get warm. Probably also find food. But they choose not to because they don't think they're worthy. And that ties in with the idea of happiness, the Unfinished Symphony. Because I think in a lot of cases we feel unworthy. I know we say the words, I know, man, I'm all in, I'm great, I'm wonderful, I'm this, but we don't feel it. We don't feel it. And everything around us just makes us feel less comfortable, less safe, less secure. Guess what? We're going to take your money and we're going to make it digitized so that we can control the value of the money. We can do with it, hold it from you, keep it from you, or give it to you whenever we want. We have control over that. We're going to shrink you down into 15-minute cities so that you can't escape, you can't get away. We're going to make sure that you have to get all of the physical health requirements that we want you to be able to stay in the city, to be able to do the things that we want you to do, because we're putting you in an outdoor prison. It's called a city. It's small. We control every single bit of it. We control your worth, your money, your health, everything, your food. We control it all. Well, that does not lend itself to finding happiness, personal happiness. And that goes back to the Five of Pentacles card. In so doing, you are letting them determine what your life is worth. It's a losing battle. You do not compromise with evil. You either get rid of it or you live with it and die with it. And that's what you're battling right now. That's the Unfinished Symphony. What would it take to make me truly happy? Well, freedom for one. Freedom for one, and that's just the beginners. But you got to answer these questions for yourselves wherever they fit in your life. So that's TAO TRI-fecta, health, wealth, and happiness. You need the sustenance of milk and honey, because you're torn between two worlds, the one that they give you and the one that you feel you want for yourself, that you know you need to find happiness. And again, it boils down to listening to yourself, believing in yourself, trusting yourself, stepping out there, and creating the life and the frequency that will allow you to have a much better manifested life experience. That's the reading. Back tomorrow with the usual kinds of manifested readings that we do for you. But hope you're with me. If not, between now and the next time we have a chance to manifest together, as always, peace and blessings.